definitely is a huge weight to portraying such an important biblical figure. And obviously, so many people have a relationship with King David, and so it's quite the challenge to tell his story. For me, I always reverted to scripture.
Michael Sowell from Washington, D.C. First, congratulations on highlighting one of my favorite stories in scripture. And honestly, with the David Goliath story, this is such an iconic moment in that, passage. However, there's so much weight and pressure I can imagine on terms of receiving end from actors trying to play these iconic roles. Well, you talked about in terms of the process of not only understanding the characters, but just your process of knowing the emotional, but also mental weight of actually embodying those figures.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're correct in everything you said there, and a brilliant question. It's one of those opportunities as an actor that you get, and very soon into the reading of the script, you realize how much magnitude, how much history, how much knowledge, and how much respect you have to show to the story. There's nowhere in this you can deviate from the truth. But I think what's really important is you take time to ask questions that may be relevant and that may have been there. Because I say that from a sense of, we've all read the story, we've all heard the story, but no one knows the inside of the mind of the individuals. No one knows, you can say something and think something that's completely different. I may say something and you can interpret it completely differently. And I think that's the joy of film and the joy of cinema. My view take on how the story is wrote could be different to every single one of yous out there. And what's beautiful is if you take the time and have patience and empathy, you may see something within Goliath that you would sit there and I won't say understand, but maybe it allows you to understand him, and it allows you to understand his situations, his decisions, and it allows you to see that, maybe Goliath was born with good intention, and what happened throughout his life changed that intention. And let's put this in a scenario of a young child who was born and loses the support network. He might lose his parents, he might lose his friends, he might lose his family of some sort. And then that child is thrust to make a decision. Do I go for survival? Do I pick a group of people that can look after me and support me short term, who might not have great intentions long term? And that would change the life of that individual. And I think that's pretty much what my take was on Goliath. It's like, I don't want to change the outcome. I don't want people to be on his side, but I want people to understand that this is something that could happen to individuals. And that was, I wouldn't say it was a pressure, but I'd say it was something for me that I wanted to try and give the audience to take out.
Yeah, I think for me, they're definitely, but for me, I always reverted to scripture. And ultimately, this was about God for me. And I knew that there was nothing that I could do that would truly embody this role if I were to just do it on my own. And so I found myself reading in the book of 1st and 2nd Samuel and reading the Psalms of David and truly trying to find his heart. And ultimately, he was known as a man after God's own heart. And so what did that look like in every moment of his life? How did the solitude of being with the sheep alone all day and doing that very lowly job as a young boy do to this man? And ultimately, why did God choose him to be the king of Israel? And so these are some of the questions that I asked myself when tackling David. And ultimately, I'm not David, I'm Michael. But the only thing I could do is try to find the things that I relate to with David. And a lot of that is, he's a teenager, he's trying to figure himself out. I was a teenager like last month. And so that, I could relate to him on that sense. He's just trying to figure himself out. But ultimately his heart is for the Lord. And so in every scene I try to find the Lord in it.
Well, I just want to say, thank you, for you guys providing your performances in this show. And it definitely is a show that's needed today. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Can one stone change the course of history?